Hello, this is Harry Norman for Proactive Investors and welcome to another Proactive audio interview. Today is the 8th of March 2011 and I'm talking with Tim+Coughlin, President and CEO of Lydian International, listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange Basic Materials, Metals and Mining sector. Stock ticker LYD, share price $2.2 Canadian, market cap $181.6 million Canadian. Lydian International shares also trade on the over-the-counter bulletin board in the United States. Web address lydianinternational.co.uk. Tim, thank you very much for joining us for this interview.
Oh, thank you, Harry.
Please give investors a brief introduction to Lydian International and its business model.
Well, Lydian is a gold-focused, principally mineral exploration and development company. We like to think we have particular expertise in what I guess you'd call non-traditional emerging and transitioning environments. We prioritize discovery over expensive and often time-consuming, usually complicated acquisitions. We have an opportunistic approach, which means various things, but basically that we aim to responsibly extract maximum shareholder value, obviously at the same time with due consideration for all of our stakeholders, for the environment, and of course for our affected communities. What we like to think makes us different is that we keep a light hand on the tiller and we pay very close attention to geopolitical and socio-political aspects of our business no matter where we are. We're very happy in Armenia just now, but of course we're keeping a close eye on other prospects in our immediate region, and our key project is the Amulsar gold discovery, which was found as we were driving along the main road and therefore has pretty much, in Armenia of course, and therefore pretty much has everything a mine needs to be highly profitable, including excellent infrastructure, outstanding metallurgy, a very low stripping ratio, and an obvious potential for 2 million ounces or more. We're currently at feasibility stage on that project, and we are full steam ahead preparing for production in 2014.
Lydian International has a resource of 1.4 million ounces of gold at the Amulsar project. When we spoke last year, you were planning to upgrade this resource. What is the state of the resource at Amulsar today?
The 1.4 million ounces was released about this time last year. Since then, we've drilled 24,000 meters of drilling, and our guys are currently completing the final geologic wireframes, which we expect to deliver to our resource consultants sometime this week. The model's developed significantly. We've built these current wireframes with significant attention to detail, and now it's quite robust, so hopefully, as well as growing the overall resource, we'll be assigning a significant amount of our gold ounces to at least the indicated category of resource. On the back of this resource, we're going to run a small-scale scoping study, and that's principally so that the market gets a good idea of how robust the economics of this project are. And as I said, two of the key contributing factors are the outstanding metallurgy and the excellent infrastructure. So we expect to get that scoping study out sometime early April.
What potential is there to grow the gold resource at Amulsar, and what are your plans for growing it, Tim?
Well, even the resource we're about to release will remain open in all directions, but particularly now from this year's modeling, as I said, we have a very robust three-dimensional model. There are very obvious contiguous extensions to the current resource to the immediate northeast for at least another kilometre and about 500 metres wide. And we simply haven't drilled there previously because we didn't have a bulldozer big enough to clear the boulders. So this year we'll be getting a big machine and making room for our drill rig to get into that area of the project. And then also to the immediate southeast, again that's adjacent to the current resource, and also to the southwest, where we've got untested surface geochemistry. There are high-grade veins, such as the one we drilled 87 metres at 4.9 grams from last year, that we've yet to drill at depth because clearly they have underground potential. It's worth mentioning that 25% of our drill holes still remain open at depth. And then, of course, there's Arato, which is 900 metres to the northeast, where we drilled a couple of years ago now 229 metres at a gram gold, and last year 186 metres at 1.1 grams gold, amongst some other pretty good intersections. And that Arato remains open in all directions as well, of course. So I think we can easily see 2 million ounces at Amulsar with very obvious potential for more. And our plans in terms of growing that resource are to drill another 30,000 metres this year.
What is the purpose of the column leach metallurgical tests you recently completed for Amulsar, and what did they reveal?
A column leach test, they synthesized the heap leach process, and they showed that with a two-stage crush, that's down to about 19 millimeters, we achieved up to 93% recoveries and leached what can only be described as a remarkable 80% of our gold in just 7 days. So they really are terrific results, and along with other factors, obviously, such as the infrastructure, they mean that we can mine at much lower grades and produce gold at a much higher margin than many other gold mines around the world.
What was the purpose of appointing a development advisory board in January of this year?
Well, we simply recognize that as we head down this road to production, we have to beef up our team with expert assistance of people we put on the board, which include a local banker and very well-known local identity, Nessus Karamanukyan, a highly experienced mining engineer, Patrick Gorman, and Liz Wall, who is a very well-known environmental and social specialist. We've also employed a metallurgist, and his job is to help manage the project through the bankable feasibility stage, hopefully construction and production.
What is the situation with Lydian International's joint venture with IMM Marketing for the Dragnier lead zinc silver project in Kosovo, Tim?
Well, this has been on hold, whilst we focus on the main project of interest, but also while Kosovo institutions try to resolve themselves and make a decision on our application for a retention license. The economics of Dragnier are such that it best benefits from a toll treatment scenario, and so options for that are limited to the Trepča facility, which is currently just about to undergo privatization, and also to IMM, who have their treatment assets in Macedonia. I think it's fair to say that Kosovo is still reeling after a snap election, which followed the removal of the president and the removal of other corrupt officials and various scandals involving the current prime minister. The situation in that country has worsened significantly over the last 2 years. However, there's a glimmer of hope. It seems that that's now being recognized and there is some renewed pressure to reform. And as I alluded to previously, one significant positive is that it appears as though the privatization of the Trepča base metals complex is now finally imminent.
In October-November last year, Lydian International raised $23 million Canadian through a private placement. Where does this leave Lydian International's financial situation going forward?
Well, we currently have about $25 million in the bank from that financing and cash we already had, which is plenty to see us through this year's drilling and feasibility work, and that'll take us well into next year. It'll also see us through constructing a test heap leach facility, which we're planning up on Amulsar this year, so not a problem at the moment.
What can investors expect from Lydian International over the next 12 to 18 months, Tim?
Well, they can expect our imminent resource update, of course, and the scoping study I've mentioned on the back of that, which will be quite informative, I think, for the market. This will be the first time we'll be using indicated category resources as well as inferred, and the first time they'll get some true indications of input parameters. And then as the results, as the drilling program proceeds through the year, hopefully commencing drilling in May, and there'll be a feasibility study sometime before the first half of 2012. Also, perhaps some new projects advancing on the pipeline, such as our Noaravik porphyry copper target in the south and other license applications and initiatives we have underway.
Remember, Proactive Investors is not an investment advice service. Make sure you register at proactiveinvestors.com or proactiveinvestors.co.uk for our weekly newsletter, which will keep you informed about our articles, interviews and events. Thank you for listening.